Welcome to our training this evening, how to know what your money blocks are and what to do about them. I'm Sarah Nolan, and for the past decade, I have been helping other entrepreneurs and parents to release these blocks and to really step into their true selves, their true wealth, their true abundance. And I'm super excited to be here with you. So let me know, say hello in the comments. Let me know if you're joining live, if you're watching the replay. Let me know where you're coming from. I'm just going to wait a moment to see. I know we had a bunch of people RSVP that they were going to join us today. And as everybody's joining in, let us know, like I said, where are you from? What money blocks do you feel that you've been having? Like, what have you been noticing in your life so far? Some of the most common signs that you have money blocks are that you can't seem to surpass a certain number in your bank account. Like when you get to, it's called your threshold. Like when you get to that threshold of, $10,000, $30,000 a month, then you somehow cap it off. You end up spending everything else, or you give it all away, or you pull back, you slow yourself down unintentionally. All of this is subconscious. We don't intentionally do any of this, obviously. And that's why it's so helpful to have this awareness. Once you have the awareness, then you have the power to do something about it. Until you have that awareness, you're just reacting and you're just living in this autopilot mode. So I'm super excited that you're here right now to really gain control of this and start doing something about it. So, you give all the money away, you feel guilty talking about money with friends and family. You grew up with adults who talked badly about money. Your family talked about not being able to afford the things you wanted. These are all signs that you have money blocks. So I'm really excited to work through these all with you. So I'm going to show you some of the most common blocks that I see. Let's see, I'm just going to get my camera situated here. There we go. And let me know in the comments if you can resonate, like which one of these do you resonate with? Okay, so number one, and sometimes, like I said, these are all unconscious. You may not realize you have it until you really become present with yourself. So right now, you may not realize that you have any of these in particular, but later on, when you really think about it, it's like, oh my gosh, that is it. But I think most of you will resonate right away when you hear it. So the most common money blocks that I see that people overcome pretty quickly and easily is I don't deserve abundance. That's probably the top of all the high achievers that I work with, is that they don't feel like they deserve abundance. And when you don't feel like you deserve abundance, you are going to play small. I mean, here's the weird thing about this. This is the irony of this, is you are so ambitious and you go big with everything you do, but at the same time, there are certain aspects that you play small in that limits you just enough so that you don't reach the level of abundance that you consciously desire. And a lot of times, to be totally honest, we become such high achievers because there's this little piece of us that doesn't feel worthy or doesn't feel deserving. So we feel like we have to achieve these really big things. Now, there are other motivations. Of course, we want to do great things in the world, but we become super achievers, which is so funny. It's so ironic, out of this little piece that doesn't feel worthy. So then we seek out a way to create that worthiness, which is honestly very admirable, right? Because we're achieving these really big, amazing things. But until we create that inner worthiness inside, we're always going to be reaching. We're always going to be striving and seeking, and it's never going to be good enough. It's never going to be enough. We're always going to be hungry, thirsty, and we're never really going to be satisfied with it. And a lot of people, it's so funny. A lot of people think that's a really good thing. Like, you always should be hungry. You always should be thirsty for more. You never should be satisfied. But the thing is, if we're never satisfied, we're never fulfilled with what we're doing. We're never happy with what we're doing. We're always seeking outside of ourselves. So when we create that inner worthiness, then we can be satisfied, and then we do what we do out of passion. And it's not out of that scarcity. We're not reaching out of scarcity. We're reaching out of a passion. We're reaching out of a desire, right? There's a difference between scarcity and desire. So let me know in the comments if you're resonating so far. Let's see. Just getting back to my notes here. The next one is fear of rejection. This is also, they're all so common. And a lot of times we have all of them at once, which makes things extra fun, right? So fear of rejection. If we surpass the normal of the family or the culture that we grew up in, then what is our family going to think about? Sometimes, when the high achievers are really lucky, the family embraces that. But more often than not, and I see this with, my highest level clients, my highest achieving clients, their family has some resentment. Their family, like, there's some jealousy sometimes. And sometimes there's not jealousy, but there's a perceived jealousy, or there's a fear of that rejection. Like, if I make more money than my parents, then what are my parents going to think of me? And what do I talk about with my family now that I'm, it's like we can't relate to each other anymore. And of course, these are just perceived ideas. It's typically not the reality, but they're fears that we sometimes have that causes us to hold back. It causes us to play smaller than we really could. So fear of rejection. The next one is fear of manipulation. Now, as I said, a lot of us super high achievers experienced some kind of trauma early in childhood, which inspired this great ambition that we have. And a lot of times that trauma came from some type of manipulation where we were violated in some way. So here's that dichotomy of, we have this great aspiration, ambition to achieve really big things and make a really big difference and impact in the world. And at the same time, there tends to be that fear of manipulating people. And so to achieve that success, we want to make sure that we are not manipulating anybody. The reality is we're not manipulating anybody, but there's always that little fear that we could be doing that. So then I see people holding back and playing small because they don't want to be manipulative, because they were manipulated at one time, and they experienced that trauma from it. So these are all fears that you can release. These are all things that you can remove from your subconscious, you can remove from your inner being, and you can rise above them, okay? So let me know if you are resonating so far, like which of these so far you resonate the most with. Let's see. The next one is fear of having more than others and making them feel bad. Now, one of my clients really struggled with this, and he had so much potential, and he was somebody that was like Tony Robbins, but he had such a strong fear that he would put other people down as he was rising up, that he would not allow himself to surpass the people around him. And then once he released those fears, then he suddenly, found new people in his life, and he suddenly was able to move past those limits and rise above into his full potential. So this is super common, especially for people who grew up in, poverty, or they grew up around poverty. Like this one client grew up in a pretty poor town, and so there was this guilt of having more than other people. And so, especially with very empathic, compassionate people, especially like healers and coaches, there tends to be this guilt of having more than other people. And guilt, I'd say that's one of the biggest challenges that I see when it comes to money is like, well, what if I have too much money? Like, what are people going to think of me? What are people going to think of themselves if I have all this money? And then they end up giving it all away, or they end up like avoiding receiving money, and things like that. So, like I said, you can eliminate all of these with some very simple exercises and processes. Now, the last one I want to talk about is I'm not good enough. Like, who am I to have that? Who am I to do that? It's like imposter syndrome. I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not good enough to reach that next level. And you have gotten so far, right? You have come a long, long way from when you started this journey. And there's this one particular moment where it's like, okay, that's far enough. Like in my identity will not allow me to go any further than this one particular mark. And oftentimes it's because of this belief of, well, I'm not good enough to surpass that mark. Or I'm not good enough to have the things that I want. Or I'm not good enough to, achieve these levels. So the process to release these blocks is really simple. And there are 3 main keys that will help you to do that pretty quickly and easily. The first one is unlocking yourself. All of these, and a lot of you watching this right now, you may have all of these blocks at once. It's very, very common to have all of these blocks at once, especially for, really high achieving, empathic, high impact individuals like yourself. You have all of these at once, and they're locked inside of you. They're locked inside of your subconscious. They're locked inside of your cells. We hold on to these in our body, and they manifest as physical behaviors. They manifest as illnesses, as chronic pain, and they manifest in the subconscious. They manifest as behavioral patterns. The way that we communicate, the way that we take action. So the first step is to unlock all of this. And the second step is to go down deep to the root. Now, it's not going to be the affirmations that release these beliefs. It's not going to be affirmations that reprogram this, right? Affirmations will help you to redirect your energy, but then once you lose that focus, you're going to go right back to where you were before. So we need to really go down into the root and find out, where did I learn this in the first place? Where did I learn that I didn't deserve abundance? Where did I learn that if I have too much, that people aren't going to love me anymore? Where did I learn that that I might be manipulative, or that I have the potential to be manipulative? Where did I learn that the sales is manipulative? Where did I learn that fear of having more than others, that having more than others is going to make other people feel bad? Where did I learn that it's bad to make people feel bad? Where did I learn that I'm not good enough? Really going down into the root of this, to where you originally made those connections, to make those connections in your brain, in your wiring, in your nervous system, in your DNA. Sometimes, you may have come into this, you may have come into this world with these programs. Fear gets passed down through the DNA. If fear gets passed down through the DNA, what else gets passed down? These beliefs oftentimes were passed down genetically or, behaviorally through our parents. For generation after generation, there's always been this this feeling of I don't deserve, and who knows where that stemmed. But our families have gone through, wars and famines and pandemics and abuse and all kinds of things. And then in this lifetime, to stack on top of that, we were taught through, the school system, through family, through friends of family, just through by accident, we were taught these things to reinforce them. So by going deep down into the root and finding the origin of these beliefs, then we can release them. And what's really going to ground that in is the way that you take care of yourself. You can do this release and then go about your merry way, and you will have a shift. There will be a transformation. But unless you love yourself, unless you practice like real deep self-care that impacts your body, your mind, and your spirit, and you really show yourself that love and care, then you aren't going to get the impact from the release that you really could. And so the self-care is what really grounds it in, and it really teaches yourself this new way of being. It really shows yourself, it proves to yourself who you really are and your true value, your true worth. And I think the self-care part is the part that most people miss out on. Like, it's really easy to do these exercises. I mean, it takes 5 minutes, but then the follow-up is the key. And everybody says, the fortunes and the follow-up. Well, it goes the same for this too. The follow-up is your self-care, what you do on a daily basis, your habits. And what's really interesting, your habits are a reflection of what's inside. So the more you do these exercises to unlock yourself, and I teach this whole thing in Recharge, which I gave you the link to that in the description of this training. There's a link to Recharge, and Recharge is going to teach you the whole system to be able to unlock yourself, unlock your cells, unlock your subconscious mind, and really go down into the root and pull these things out to make space for the things that you really want. So let me know in the comments, like, what do you want your beliefs to be about money? And what do you want to feel? Like, how do you want to feel about money? Do you want to feel fear and resentment and anger, or, surrounding money and your wealth and your success? Or would you rather feel grateful and proud and love about yourself around money and success and your wealth? So let's make a clear intention right now. What do you really want? And let's make space for that. Let's release that root of whatever these blocks are. And let me tell you something. There may be one single root that is holding all of these blocks in place. And once you release that root, then they all become released, and you start experiencing freedom in every area of your life. Because if you have money blocks, then you also have relationship blocks. You also have blocks to your health. You also have blocks to your happiness and fulfillment. So once you start really addressing these from a root level, then you're going to experience exponential growth, and really making space for the things that you want and for your true self, like who you really are, because you are not these blocks. You are not this belief that you don't deserve. You are not fear of rejection. You are not fear of manipulation. You are not that fear of having more than others and making them feel bad because you have more. You are not that belief in not being good enough. Those aren't you. Those are just learned behaviors. And so now is the time where you can figure out, who are you really? Who is underneath all of those things? And the first clue as to who that is look at the people that you most admire. What do you admire about those people? Whatever you admire about your greatest your greatest heroes, you have those qualities yourself. And those qualities are the things that are hidden beneath all of this clutter, beneath all of this muck. As my clients like to say, it's like releasing that muck, removing removing that garbage from inside of us that's just been piled on over the years. I mean, this stuff has been here for decades. And now is a time where we can clear it all out and really shine our true selves through, and really embrace and be in that full potential of who we are. So I'm not in my screen. I'm not able to see if there's any comments, but let me know, what was your biggest takeaway? I'm just going to check on my phone. Sometimes Facebook is a little funny with how they set up these lives. But let me know one of your biggest takeaways in the comments. And let me know, like, what's something that you really resonated with. And let me know if you have any questions. So again, if you want to go through this process and you want to really release these blocks for good, then check out that link in the description where it says vibrantlifenaturalhealing.com. I'm in, and you can go check it out. It's like a long sales page. You can see there are different options. There are different levels that you can join the program. But let me tell you something. This is something where people get immediate results. Like the first day that they're in the program, they get into flow and they start immediately releasing the fears and the limiting beliefs and all of that garbage, and they start shining. I don't know how else to say it right now, but they just start shining, and it kind of feels like euphoria at first, because they suddenly have less fear in their lives than they've ever had before. And they, it's like you don't know how good you feel until you don't know how much pain you are in until you release that pain. And you don't know how good you can feel until you release that pain, until you can release those fears. So if you're somebody who is the kind of person where you will not tolerate these blocks in your life, you will not tolerate anything to stand in your way, and you're ready to go deeper, you're ready to do that deep, juicy inner work, and you're also ready for it to be fun, and you want to show up as the very best person for yourself, for your family, for your spouse, for your clients, for your teams, then this is probably going to be a really good fit for you. So go check out that link and see what it's all about. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And you can always send me a message. You can comment here. There's probably an email somewhere. And you can get started for just $7. Like if you want to do the payment plan, it's typically $97 a month for a year. I made the first month just $7. I gave you a 90% discount on the first month. So you can try it out and see if you resonate with it. Or you can do it for $9.97 and just pay it in full, and you get lifetime access to it. So a lot of my clients like to continue doing this. They're a new version of themselves every time they go through the program. So you don't ever have to pay for it again. You have it for life, and you will be a new person every time you show up for it. So let me know if you have any questions. Okay, I see Vera, having more than others. Yes. So having more than other people is super common. And that is something that you can easily release by finding, like, what is the root of that? Where did you learn that? And what were the things that you told yourself? And you can go back and you can rewire. You rewind the whole program and you make some deep changes. And then you create the program that you really want. Like, it's okay to have more than other people. Actually, I don't have any more than other people. I may have more like dollar amount in my bank account, but there's really no comparison, because whatever I have more of with somebody else, they've got more of something than me. So it doesn't really matter. It's all a wash in the end. So thank you so much for joining the training this evening. I really appreciate every single one of you. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and we'll talk soon. And congratulations to everybody who decided to join with me and recharge. I cannot wait to meet you. I cannot wait to hear more of your story and it's going to be super fun. So have a great night, and we'll talk soon.